Yeah, what's cracking, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Prison Break Raw. I'm your host, the one and only Big JD. Haunted, freaky, twisted, evil, bizarre hotels have intrigued me since I watched the movie The Shining as a little kid. That movie freaked me the fuck out. Everything from the two little girls in the hallway, hello, Danny, to the blood pouring out of the elevator, to the woman in the bathtub, especially the woman in the bathtub. I mean, the condominium that I grew up in as a little kid, there was a bathroom at the end of the hall. It was my grandma's main bathroom. It was right next to her bedroom. She'd leave the light blaring, door wide open. I'd always close the door before I went to bed so I wouldn't have to see that bathtub. But she would open the door in the middle of the night. In the middle of the night when I'd have to step out to go take a leak, I would never look in that direction. I'd make the journey downstairs and use that bathroom down there to avoid possibly seeing a head pop up out of that bathtub. It just freaked me out, man. Well, I've since outgrown that fear, and now I've become intrigued and fascinated by a lot of these hotels. I've stayed in a few of them that are considered to be twisted, weird, and haunted, where all kinds of weird shit has happened. Anything from the Skirvin right here in Oklahoma City, to one over in Long Beach, I can't remember the name of it, to the Franklin Motel in Buena Park where some guy set his kid on fire, all these different places, but nothing and nowhere, any place at all, ever compared to the Hotel Cecil when I stayed there in 1995. Remember, I'm old. So I had an opportunity to stay in the Hotel Cecil long before it was Stay on Main. Long before they tried to revitalize it. I mean, it was at its worst at this time. Skid Row was Skid Row, but I think it was a lot worse back then. I mean, people walking around foaming at the mouth like they're zombies, eating trash, dead bodies in the street, the host throwing San Pedro, people slanging dope, people laying everywhere, people mutilating themselves, chasing people down the streets butt naked with a fucking machete. All kinds of shit went on over there. Still goes on over there to this day, and people disappear all the time. But the Hotel Cecil is the best place in the world to stay if you want to be discreet. You don't want the cops beating on your door. You could dispose of a body, chop it all the way down. You could cook methamphetamine, of which led me to the Hotel Cecil in the first place. All of that. Now it's 95, I'm fresh out after a few months. Still on parole, looking to make a comeback. My stomping grounds, from northeast Buena Park into the city of La Mirada, mostly La Mirada, into the city of Norwalk, Studebaker and Imperial, Shoemaker and Rosecrans at the Madonna Apartments, the Cocalindas right there next to John Glenn. Ran around in all of that. The sheriffs in that area, and most especially the narcotics unit in Buena Park, Detectives Munns and Detective Presley, were on everybody's bumper, and they were definitely on my bumper. So we had a cook in our pocket. We were looking to make quite a lot of money in manufacturing methamphetamine. We came up on a whole bunch of medicated cow licks to extract the ephedrine out of. I mean, who the fuck is going to want to drive to every single Save-Ons in the Southland trying to find Sudafed pills to pull when you can just pull it out of a cow lick straight from Farmer John that wants to make a couple of bucks, and that's what we did. But let me not get off track. So we didn't have an RV like Breaking Bad. We didn't have a little shack out in the middle of the desert. We couldn't exactly cook it in any of the condominiums in the area where these two detectives were running around in the bushes, hiding in campers, renting out condominiums and staring out the windows. I mean, who has tinted windows on their condominium? Driving around in a blue IROC, and you knew that was Munns, and he wanted you to know that you knew that it was him. You had to get out of town. You had to get the fuck out of Dodge. You had to go someplace where it's like in the middle of everything, where crime is everywhere, where you would think the cops would always be, but the cops never were, because you can call 911 1,000 times and nobody's going to the Cecil Hotel. Not back in those days, not in 95. Not before the revitalization and the gentrification and all that shit. Everything is in this place. Mass murderers, serial killers, serial rapists, seat sniffers, child molesters, cannibals, necrophiliacs, cross-dressing weirdos, drug dealers, pimps, hitmen, people hiding out, human and drug trafficking, everything and everything that you can think of is right there at the Cecil. Not to mention dead bodies that float around in the water tank. All that fun stuff. People jumping out of the windows, people being thrown out of the windows. That's the Cecil Hotel, especially back there in 1995. That's when it was wow. That's all I could say is wow. So what led me to the Cecil Hotel was not my idea, right? Somebody that I know came up with a brilliant plan. One that can't miss. One that's fail-safe. One that's a 100% guarantee, the deal of the century. You guessed it, Captain Spagak. He came up with the idea. What could possibly go wrong at the Cecil, right? Cooking meth there? What could go wrong? If it has anything to do with Captain Spagak, you know that everything will go wrong. I mean, he's way beyond Murphy's Law. Anything that can go wrong will go wrong. Captain Spagak's law is anything that will go wrong, and it definitely will go wrong. That's Captain Spagak. So he came up with this brilliant idea, and he was talking about the history, talking about like a lot of the things that I knew on this documentary that's on Netflix, The Vanishing at the Cecil. Way before that happened is when I stayed there. Remember, I'm old. But this guy had the whole history of the place. The Night Stalker stayed there. All kinds of different people. The Black Dahlia was there. All kinds of shit. I even believe that the Hotel Cecil was what inspired the American Horror Story, the Hotel Cortez, because there's just too many similarities to not have had it like being based upon that place. I mean, it was an American Horror Story hotel. So there we are. We're moving down the 5 freeway. We're on our way to downtown. Hotel Cecil. We got the cook. We got all the materials. And who would ever think that we were suspicious walking through that main lobby to go to those elevators where you saw the elevator game, the psychedelic elevator experience of Alyssa Lamb. Been in that elevator. I don't know if it was exactly that one or the one next to it, but whatever. Long time ago. Marching all the way up the stairs, about 6 of us, all of the gear in hand. And this guy, Captain Spagak, of course, just had to get the 14th floor because that was the Night Stalker's floor. He thought it would add an extra kick, but actually I thought it was a huge distraction. The worst floor of all of them was anything beyond the 12th, because there's no 13th floor in any hotel, as you know. So the 14th to 15th and all going up that way, it just gets worse and worse as you go higher and higher in this place. It's like you're raising from the basic minor purgatory of hell, at the brink of being in hell, all the way to the 7th gates of hell. And the hallway was disgusting and grimy and weird and dingy and dark. Weirdos everywhere, people puking on themselves. Stank like piss. It was bad, man. This place was fucking vicious. Perfect in the mind of Captain Spagak. So we go into our room. We get a room. The funny thing about this room is it had no bathroom at all. I've never been in a hotel that's never had a bathroom. This place didn't. So we had to go and make more arrangements back down into the lobby to get a place with a bathroom, because you got to have a bathroom if you're cooking methamphetamine. I mean, you're an idiot if you don't have a fucking bathroom or something that drains the smell, something to where you can pour stuff and do all that kind of shit. You got to have a bathroom. So we go back down, and this guy that was running the front desk was like something straight out of the fucking Addams Family. There was a lady, there was like a tall, I don't know if it was a transvestite, what it was leading an old man half naked around the lobby with a leash. People were talking to themselves. It was just bizarre, right? And I started to get a bad feeling like something was going to happen. Something bad was going to happen. I mean, it was just a given. It had to go wrong, especially with Captain Spagak. So we finally get a room that actually has a bathroom, and I don't believe it was on the 14th floor. I think we ended up like down on the 12th. We ended up going downwards, but we had one with a bathroom, all right? We're getting ready to do the deed. Everything's going on. One of the guys that's with us decided he wants to go out and go to a vending machine to get a snack. Well, that kind of triggered an alarm, and it raised a red flag to Captain Spagag, who all of a sudden got the notion that guy was going to get Presley and Munns. The two narcotic detectives in Buena Park now were way out of their jurisdiction. So I seriously doubt they have anything to do with this place, but he believed that they followed us there. He was talking that he's seen that IROC, that blue IROC. He's seen it. As if it was the only blue IROC in existence in 1995. So this guy leaves and he stays gone. He comes back. No snacks, of course. I mean, there's no vending machines in this place. If they are, they're completely destroyed and gutted. So now Captain Spagag starts in on all the inquiries, the interrogations. He can't leave it alone. He doesn't want anything to happen. He's sabotaging shit. He's going in and out of this fucking room, into the hall, back in the place, into the hall, back into the place. He did this so many times. All right, and everything wasn't going right. With like the Bunsen burners and everything that was going, and nothing was happening, nothing was working out. And there was such an eerie feeling that I had in this place. Like there was just like death all around me. And especially in this room. It just felt weird. Somebody kept tapping on the walls from the next room, whispering under the doors, all this stuff. Noise, groans, and grunting coming from one room. A putrid smell coming from another. I didn't want to ever step foot outside into that hallway ever again, especially not in the middle of the night. Looking out the window, it's even worse. It's like The Walking Dead outside. But this guy, Captain Spagag, ends up getting in a fight with this dude that he thought was a cop. And the cook finally decides that he's going to leave. He doesn't want no part of this, man. Everything's going wrong. Shit's getting spilt. I mean, but who would notice, right? There was so many stains on that carpet. I don't even think it was a carpet anymore. It was like a slick layer of taffy at this point. You would literally be stuck to it like a roach trap. So Captain Spagag is fighting with this dude. This dude wants to leave. Captain Spagag is not letting him leave. You ain't going nowhere. All the gangster came out of this dude. The old dirty mullet, the pockmarks on his face, the pants that seemed like they wanted to slip off his body because he was so sucked up. He became straight Tony Montana in a matter of seconds. Pulled out a pistol on this guy and tried to hold him hostage. But he had gone in and out of this room so many times that he forgot to lock the door. And some old guy just came walking into the room. Just came walking in like it was his room. In his boxer shorts, of all things. It just was always bad. People knocking on the doors. People making a lot of noise in the hall. This cook could not focus. Weird sounds coming through the vents. A heater that was in the corner that would always make a sound like if somebody was screaming. All of that shit. The place was fucking bizarre. And none of us wanted to leave during the night. So we had to just sit there. Nothing got cooked. Nothing happened. Captain Spagag staring at this guy that he was trying to hold hostage. This guy's trying to leave. People getting beat up and robbed in the halls. We sat there all night. Nothing happened. Nothing got cooked. No money was made. A big waste of time. The sun finally came up, and it was time to go. And I got to tell you that it seems like a bad energy follows you out of that place. Because for weeks afterwards, all kinds of weird shit was happening to me that I can't really explain. Nightmares, sweats, situations that should never happen. Being in a car and the car just burst into flames one day. I mean, just burst into flames in the engine. All of these things. And then shortly after I got off of parole, boom, I'm busted again. On some of the most bizarre circumstances imaginable. And I'm back in prison. So I could tell you firsthand that there is definitely a strange and bizarre phenomenon surrounding this hotel. It brings the worst out of people It attracts all the worst kind of people. And for the most part, it's an interesting experience. I mean, I got to tell you. It's not something that I regret, but it's something that I will remember for the rest of my life because of what it was at that time. Now, since then, since past like 2007, they turned it to Stay on Main. They turned it into a luxury hotel with low-income housing. I mean, people were living in this place forever. But during the 90s, the early 90s, the mid-90s, wow, nothing compares. Anybody that says that they stayed there after the year 2000 would never have gotten the full experience that I got in this place. I wish I can remember everything that happened, but it was just, the lights were always going out. The toilet would flush on its own. You'd almost seem like you can hear people screaming, like it would get louder past the window as almost you're hearing a ghost drop. People were jumping out and getting thrown out of that windows all the time in this place. We couldn't open our window. Motherfucker was almost like nailed shut, glued shut. I don't know, but it was closed. But that was my experience at the Cecil Hotel with Captain Spagak and his brilliant idea of cooking methamphetamine there in a place where you can't even focus. I mean, yeah, it's the perfect location because the cops will never show up. Nobody's going to report a strange smell. Nobody's going to report strange activity going on there and strange cats standing outside in the hallway playing lookout and everything. I mean, to the point to where the guy that we had doing the lookout, tough dude, I mean, badass motherfucker, and he did not want to be in that hallway any longer. Let me inside, man. This place is giving me the creeps. Yeah. Bizarre. And out of all the hotels that I could possibly stay at that are considered to be haunted, evil, and wicked, the Hotel Cecil is probably the worst and will always be the worst. I can't think of anywhere else that could be that bad. It's definitely up there. So you'll never get a chance to experience that, but if you ever are in LA, go check it out. I know it's not open right now, and they're trying to completely revitalize it once again after Alyssa Lamb was floating around in the water up on the roof. Of which, by the way, it's pretty fucked up what a lot of these people did to that dude, Morbid. I really think these sleuths need to apologize to him for that. Blaming that dude just goes to show you how people will always half-ass listen or pay attention to something and then accuse people, misconstrue evidence, because the cop said it appeared that the hatch was closed on that water tank. Come to find out that the maintenance man found the hatch was open and he closed it himself. I know the feeling of getting accused of some bullshit like Mr. Morbid. Since the sleuths won't apologize, I'll apologize for him. Morbid, sorry you had to deal with all these fucking straight retards. You already know what it is. I mean, you heard it right here. Prison Break Raw, uncut, uncensored, no holds barred, non-sugarcoat, not politically correct, all up in your face, slapping you with that Cecil of reality. And I'm out.